Single dad entered the wrong hospital room, met a dying woman and married her later. The wrong door changed his life forever. Daniel Mercer still remembered the sound of the handle clicking open, the smell of antiseptic in the air, and the quiet beeping of machines that didn't belong to his father's room. For a single second, he thought he had made a small mistake. He didn't know he had just stepped into a moment that would rewrite his entire future. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and miracles that come when we least expect them, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to One Heart Stories. Your support helps us bring more emotional journeys like this to life. It had been a long, exhausting morning. Sunlight poured through the hospital's tall windows, too bright and cheerful for a place filled with fear and fragile hope. Daniel clutched a paper cup of cold coffee and walked quickly down the hallway, searching for room 312 where his father was recovering after heart surgery. He hadn't slept much. Being a single dad to 6-year-old Noah while juggling hospital visits and construction shifts had drained him to the bone. His wife had passed away 3 years earlier in a car accident, leaving Daniel with a little boy who still woke up crying some nights. Since then, life had felt like a constant uphill climb. Work, school lunches, laundry, hospital bills, bedtime stories. Daniel carried everything alone. He never complained, but sometimes the silence of his apartment felt heavier than any weight he lifted at work. He reached what he thought was room 312 and pushed the door open. But instead of his father, he saw a woman lying in the bed, thin and pale, sunlight falling gently across her face. Her hair was short and uneven, like it had only recently grown back. Tubes and wires traced the outline of her fragile body. A small bouquet of half-wilted flowers sat on the table beside her, clearly old. She looked alone. Daniel froze, embarrassed. He started to apologize and step back out, but her eyes opened slowly. Soft brown eyes. Tired, yet strangely warm. For a moment, neither of them spoke. There was something about the way she looked at him, not startled, not annoyed, just curious, almost relieved to see another human being. He quietly explained he had the wrong room and turned to leave, but something stopped him. Maybe it was the untouched breakfast tray. Maybe it was the empty visitor chair. Maybe it was how the room felt forgotten. He hesitated, then asked if she needed anything before he went. That simple question changed everything. Her name was Elise Rowan. 34. No close family. Stage 4 illness that the doctors said wouldn't improve. She had been transferred here months ago. Most of her friends had slowly stopped visiting. Not out of cruelty, life had simply moved on without her. Daniel told himself he'd stay only a minute. But the minute turned into 10. 10 turned into half an hour. He found himself talking about Noah, about how his son refused to eat vegetables and loved drawing superheroes. Elise listened like every word mattered. She laughed softly at his stories, and the sound felt like something warm cracking through the cold hospital air. When Daniel finally left, he felt oddly lighter. The next day, he came back on purpose. He told himself it was just kindness. Just checking in. Nothing more. Days became routine. Morning visit to his father. Then 10 minutes with Elise. He'd bring her fresh flowers, or coffee she couldn't drink but loved to smell. Sometimes he showed her Noah's drawings. Sometimes they just watched the sunlight crawl across the floor. The hospital stopped feeling so heavy. But guilt tugged at him. He was already overwhelmed. Bills piled up. Noah needed him. Was it foolish to get attached to someone who might not be there tomorrow? Still, every time he tried to skip a visit, he imagined her staring at that empty chair. So he kept coming. One afternoon, he brought Noah along. The boy shyly handed Elise a crayon drawing of 3 stick figures holding hands under a huge yellow sun. He had labeled it Friends Forever. Elise cried quietly, pressing the paper to her chest like it was treasure. From that day on, Noah called her Auntie Elise. Weeks passed, and Daniel began to notice something inside him shifting. The loneliness he had carried for years started softening. Elise didn't treat him like a broken widower or a struggling father. She treated him like a man who still deserved happiness. Then came the day the doctor spoke to him privately in the hallway. Her condition was worsening. Time was shorter than expected. The words hit him like a storm. That night, Daniel sat in his car long after sunset, hands shaking on the steering wheel. He realized something terrifying and beautiful at the same time. He loved her. Not out of pity. Not out of obligation. But because she had made his world brighter when he thought brightness was gone forever. The next morning, in pure daylight streaming through the windows, he walked into her room with a simple silver ring he had bought from a small shop on the way. His heart pounded louder than any machine in the ward. He didn't make a big speech. He just told her that life was short, that she had already changed his and Noah's world, and that he didn't want her to feel alone for a single day she had left. He wanted to be her family, officially, completely. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she nodded. They were married that afternoon in the hospital chapel. A nurse acted as witness. Noah held the flowers. Sunlight filled the room like a blessing. It wasn't a grand wedding. No music, no crowd. Just love. For the first time in years, Daniel didn't feel like life was taking from him. It was giving something back. Elise lived 3 more peaceful months. Months filled with laughter, movies on a tablet, and small daytime walks in a wheelchair through the hospital garden. Months where she wasn't alone anymore. When she finally passed, Daniel held her hand and thanked her for choosing to stay. That first day he opened the wrong door. Because it had never really been the wrong room. It had been the right heart. If this story touched you, please like, share, and comment to support One Heart Stories, so more people can believe that even small acts of kindness can change a life forever. And before you go, please comment where you're watching from and who you would hold a little tighter today. Sometimes, the smallest mistakes lead us exactly where we're meant to be.